No, the reason I asked that question,
Yes.
and I added publicly for
Yes.
emphasis, because the Constitution must also have seen something that made it not prescribe that it be done publicly. Perhaps, you know, it assumed that the CCB will be up to, you know, will live up to its responsibility and monitor and follow up to see that when you're leaving office, you don't, you haven't taken anything that doesn't belong to you, and perhaps you should have faced prosecution. But because we haven't seen that over the years, maybe that is what is asking or is encouraging people to ask, that they publicly declare what it is that they own. But do you think that there's anything in our environment that could discourage people from doing that publicly?
No, certainly. There are no more things. But first, let me take the public declaration of assets. It is not when you come on air and you declare it. There's an agency that is responsible, right? An organization. Now, it's a public document. You get the form. It's actually a form that you get from CCB. Now, having filled it and you submit it, you have made your assets public without necessarily coming on air to declare it to the public. But it's actually a public declaration, because that's what the Constitution says. The Constitution talks about declaration of assets. Who do you declare it to? To the agency that has been created by the Constitution. Now, the snag is this. If I come on air and I declare my assets, some people say, oh, you mean this man actually owns this building? You mean he has this amount? I know what the assets of the president and the vice president have both declared what it is generating. Oh, the vice president is even richer than the president. You mean the vice president has this amount of money? Now, next thing you start seeing is people will start levitating, gravitating, or moving towards this man for financial assistance. So it's also possible for someone who wants to protect himself by not declaring his assets public. But once you become a public office holder, the law requires you, even the Senate President, the Speaker of the House, all public office holders, including special advisors, the Constitution, we have a near perfect document. Yes, it's what you could say, it's a document that is still being doctored and a work in progress. It's not perfect in itself, but looking at it, it addresses a number of areas. If I want to be a speaker, it says I must declare my assets. A Senate President must declare his assets. Special advisors, declare your assets. Let the Nigerian public know. Well, first is, what is the essence of this declaration? And we said earlier, it's to checkmate the tendency to want to be polluted, to want to be influenced. If I went into government, I had just one property. Mind you, before now, government is seen as an avenue for amassing wealth. A man goes to political office seeking has now suddenly become a do-or-die affair. Why? Someone who is not doing so well in his private business now sees an escape valve, an escape route, political platform. He wants to become a governor, he wants to become some political office holder. Why is it so? It's a means to an end. You must know what the person had prior to governance. Some people leave government and you see stupendous wealth. Yep. Today, private jet has now become the fad. Every political office holder now has a private jet.
But in the era where we are also seeking more private people to join government, because you also see forums where, where people are asked, you know, to don't think that you're comfortable in your private business. You know, you have to join government at some point if you know that you want the kind of government that you deserve. Do you think that this will be encouraging for them to
no,
join
certainly.
You think so?
Yes. For someone like, for instance, the vice president is a very successful lecturer, very successful legal practitioner. He's an international speaker. He's also a pastor from what I know. Now, for him to decide to join government, question is why? So clearly it's obvious that people like him are going there to serve, not to amass wealth. You can even see from the asset he has declared, he's a comfortable member of standards. And those are the kind of things that we now need to see. Those who have the calling to want to serve, to now make themselves available beyond. Life is not all about making money. Life is not all about having assets. You must also be seen to contribute to societal development. And that's where we're now moving to. Recently, I read, I think it was an interview that Obama granted. He said he became poorer when he went into government. So what you then now see is, for him, he's gone there to serve. After service, he'll probably bounce back. And that's what happens to a lot of former office holders in the US. When they leave government, they get, like Bill Clinton, they get endorsement here and there, seminars, conferences, and that's where they make their money from. Are you writing your books?
If you look at it, it goes back to the accounting system we have. Does it really show when anyone earns a kobo? How do we trace that to say, okay, you have earned a kobo? Maybe you have gone to deliver a speech or talk anywhere, like former presidents of the United States. A couple of them, they give speeches and they get paid for such. such talks. Do we get to see such?
Yes.
Because in Nigeria, because even getting campaign funds, you still can't trace where the money is coming from and how it's being spent.
It is the fault of the agencies responsible. I was looking at, somebody asked me this question about the way we do things here. I met a Zimbabwean who was saying to me, he said, we're happy for your country. For the first time, you have a leader that the people can identify with, a man of high integrity. But how come your leaders are stupendously wealthy? And I said to him, I said, but the Constitution is very, our Constitution is clear. Are you aware that there is a provision of the Constitution that political office holders, if they go visiting and they're giving gifts, the gift is not meant for them. The gift is meant for the states, and they must declare it. It's the same thing they have in the US. If an American president goes anywhere, he's given a gift. It's not given to him in his private capacity, it's given to him in his public capacity. And so he must declare it. If he's interested in buying it, he can then now take it. So these are some of the things that we have. The law is very clear, the Constitution is very clear.
And I know we are out of time here. Very quickly, when you talk about what belongs to you and what don't belong to you, look at the headlines today. Federal government revokes ex-governors, others diplomatic passports, and reading deep in it, we're getting to see local government chairmen and assembly people. What does the law say about diplomatic passports?
Take it from this perspective. When you're in government, you have diplomatic immunity. So it's given to you while you're in service. When you're no longer in service, why must you be given diplomatic passports? Are you a diplomat? You're no longer a diplomat. What's the essence of diplomatic passport? Because you enjoy diplomatic immunity. So if you're no longer in government, it's just the way we do things in this country. The law is very clear. So the government has a right to revoke. We must all go back. Today, I'm carrying a green passport, right? If for some reason I find myself in government, I'm given a diplomatic passport. If I'm no longer in service, why must I continue to enjoy the privilege?
So it's natural.
It's natural.
Just drop it back.
Yes,
I mean,
just drop it. Just like vehicles that were given. Oftentimes you find political office holders or politically exposed persons walking away with government assets. It's wrong.
Should the president even take a step further and say, look, there should be an executive bill to the National Assembly to change that part that says, not just submit your form to CCB, but it's got to be made public?
Nah, I mean, it's clear. That's like going for the overkill or overdrive. I mean, the law is clear. It's just simply say submit your assets. So once it's submitted, the Freedom of Information Act comes in, so you have access to request for it. And if they refuse, the law goes further in saying that where the public agency refuses, you have a right to access the court, go to court to challenge them to perform their duties.
All right, thank you very much indeed, Mr. Norris Quakers SAN. Well, that's the show today. We thank you all for watching. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm Chamberlain Oso.
Well, thank you for watching. I'm Maokwe Ogun.
Many thanks. I'm Sulaiman Alede. See you again.